Hello, uh, with another session of Book of Hours. Um, I had meant to try to stream a little earlier in the day. It's currently almost 1 a.m. for me. I could not. I was going to just call it a wash today and try to stream tomorrow, but then I could not sleep, so it's probably a terrible idea, but decided to. I wanted to play some more, and I figured I wasn't going to do it off stream, so here I am. We'll see how long I make it. I do need to get more consistent schedule lockdown, but I'll work on that. Anyway, this is the 4th session of my playthrough as the Symurgist. Let's just read our journal real quick and remind ourselves what that's all about. We have our feather decked journal. In Care Adar, I heard the secret gods speak one to another. I thought that would be the end of my journey, but the more I heard, the more I knew must be missing. I am the librarian of Hush House, and I will find what has been lost. The Symurgist came to Hush House to find a history with the songs that have fallen to silence, but you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with the birdsong wisdom. Memories, the Symurgist. I eavesdropped on the songs of the Aviform hours. I'd heard the warnings. I'd lose my mind, my soul, my skin. All of those things were true, but no one ever warns you what happens if you get away with it, which is to say, after that, there just doesn't seem to be anything else worth hearing. So at the end of the last playthrough, we did camp in a new bed, and we are working on curing our core, which became maladied pretty early on in the playthrough. So that'll take about 3 minutes, and that will push into the next day. I was moving a little quickly at the end of my last session, and I wanted to take a look more at the stuff in the dispensary. Namely, we have a couple of tools in here. We have spice scales, which gives Grail not terribly useful on its own for that purpose, but it is also kitchenware. This won't look wildly out of place beside a saucepan, and it has the aspect of spicing. Tool or knowledge that might be used to add more exotic flavors. So that could be useful for cooking specific recipes. We also have a set of shears, which is a moth tool. Shears of the Sisterhood. Black iron shears marked with the Sisterhood's triple knot. We have a serpent-style glass, which is just a redundant copy. We have a mortar and pestle, which is a forge and a nectar tool. I believe that's our first forge tool. Full bottles of lethe, a dark and syrupy liquid favored in unnamed forest villages. We have a couple of miscellaneous drinks and some other crafting materials. I'm not gonna go through every single one here. And then the other thing that's oh, and we also have, there's a snoodle jar, which gives lantern and moth. Cool. We already had a lantern, and then the shears are also a moth tool, so not terribly useful. Um, January January Sanguinary, also called Sanguis Saltandus, or by the ignorantly superstitious true blood of Saint Janarius. Mostly useful for crafting, it looks like. It's just a liquid. We have some cranial tchotchkes. All of us come to this condition in the end, but not all of us are fortunate enough to be lovingly buffed and fixed carefully to a stylish wooden stand. And I know I just said I wasn't going to go through all of them, but yeah, okay, that's good enough for now. Let's move some of these. I want the scales down in the kitchen somewhere. Now, oh, we did get into the foundry earlier, so this is not our first forge tool. Let's just leave it back. The shears I do want somewhere more convenient, but maybe once we unlock some of these rooms, I'll find a spot for those. I'm also going to put this somewhere. It's fine there. Just hold on to the shears for the moment. Okay. Let's go ahead and progress the day. We are going to be moving into winter, it looks like. I think so. We got the 2 languages from Father John Dollar, and then we can take note of Zachary's address here. And with 3 winter, we can invite him in. Should be doable with just a skill and any ink. We do have a fog today. 3 knock, 3 moon. Oh, you know what? We have a number of knock books that I would like to read. We have Traveling at Night, Volume 1. I'd like to see if I can get one of those read, maybe. Or Traveling at Night, Volume 3. Just Edicts Liminal or in Wall. Edicts Liminal. Make name day riddles. I don't know the highest level I don't know the highest level recipes for that one in my notes. Door and Wall can make Secret Threshold, Glassfinger Toxin, and Sacrament Acite. One might be nice to have and potentially potentially level. The question is, where do we get the fourth knock from? Don't believe we have any knock skills. Nor do I think we have any knock tools. Actually, we might not even have a knock desk right now. Oh no, we have the Natan desk. Do you have any ink that gives a knock? We do not. And I'm not sure, can we? We can just use scene. Okay. Okay, that works. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and start that up. And I'll read the full description of the book once we master it. Okay, it's just flipped over into winter. Invitation from TRN Limited. I have received a short catalog neatly printed on paper of creamy smoothness from TRN Limited. A compliment slip advises me that they have reserved a space for me in their client list. TRN selects its clients carefully, one might say eccentrically. They rarely advertise, but in all their long history, they have never lacked for custom. And we're drawing a new incident. I will go ahead and record Wakefield's address. And let's think about visitors or villagers. What can we get help with? Unlocking. I wouldn't mind getting into some of these rooms. Wouldn't mind the wrecked pantry either. No, I don't know if that picked up Sam rubbing on the mic. Hey, buddy. Just a minute here. It on the camera. Okay. Money's still gonna be a little tight throughout winter. I might want to have some on hand just in case I get some weather that I want to take advantage of with some other villager. So I think I'm going to try to see what we can get into with either Mr. or Mrs. Kill, as it's essentially free. So Mrs. Kill, we do core to invite her, refresh. That's 3 heart, 4 with dual. Six with a memory. Um, 7 with a drink. Eight if we use a consumable or food. So a few options there. Here we go for the pantry. Seems reasonable to me. It is winter and the storms have tightened the seas. I am sitting before the fire in the sweet bones with a beef and potato pasty in one hand and a hot ale posset in the other. Let's go ahead and do big bowl or kitchen bowls. And then I'll spend 1 cycle talking to her, generate a memory, and as a backup, we can spend a minute to reread Traveling at Night Volume 2. We have Mr. Peter Agdistis, musician, mystic, impresario. Agdistis was a dancer once. One cannot see him without knowing it. The wound in his thigh keeps him from the stage, but his every movement still has the cadence of a prayer. He understands Fusine, and nothing else new for us language-wise. Interested in heart and sky. And so it'll be heart for the affair of the Open Reverend. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's spend one more cycle talking to Mrs. Kill. Gave us a memory fear. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. Okay, no satisfaction. Not exactly what we wanted. So let's go ahead and collaborate core. Everything goes easier with a song. And I will play Whist here to reread Traveling at Night Volume 2. Knock, a gate flung wide. Traveling at Night Volume 3, the annotated dream journals of Christopher Lappley, sometimes called the only readable occultist, literate, entertaining, bewildering. Lappley's disquisitions on fire and the unburnt god are interrupted by passages of distractingly erotic poetry addressed to Aldamira. To reach the stag door, I believe that all you really need is to want something enough. But I've never wanted anything that much, except, of course, Baldamira, and I'm very much afraid that the knot in the story is this. What Baldamira wants is the stag door. Here's something I learned in Persia. Perhaps it'll teach you what you want. Gave us a memory pattern. That's nice to have. 2 knock, 1 forge memory. Something fits just right. And door and wall. Start patterns here. And we'll go ahead and learn door and wall. And actually, if we want, we can potentially refresh an element and read the other 4 knock book today. Cured my malady, time, peace, recovery. I think I don't have much in the way of stockpiled water right now, though. Oh, I should have been doing something here, I think. So, let's see. With door and wall, that's to the memory patterns. We just need a soul that can go here, which is any either the core or the health is fine. So let's restore the core. And tomorrow I'll definitely want to drop some more water since we're using our last glass here, I think. Yeah, good for that. And the is it a solace? It's up to 7. Another leaf on the tree of wisdoms. Door and wall. The lock seeks its key, the wall seeks its door. And we who would pass learn at last that they are not our servants. Willem Harries. 2 knock, 1 forge, Hora Macistry, and Nictor Germany. Alright, we got our Memory of Solace from rereading Traveling at Night Volume 2. And it's not the right one. Exalt with a Memory. And go ahead and do a work cycle here, I think. By that I mean refresh it and then use it to work for the last part of the day. And here, yeah, we'll go ahead and read Traveling at Night Volume 1. We got her at 7 heart now. So we'll take a look at the wrecked pantry. Smashed glass and shattered timber. This room can be restored and there will be salvageable provisions tucked away in the wreckage. But I'll need someone with strong arms and a patient heart. And with that, let's go ahead and talk to Mr. Agdistus. How do you do, librarian? I crave your assistance. So let's reread the Affair of the Open Reverend. In a highly specialized clinic in an obscure corner of the capital, specialists study the ecstatic agonies of the case known only as the Open Reverend, who was once the vicar of the parish of St. Agnes, 4th Street. The blessings of St. Agnes of the Fires and St. Agnes of the Shears are ungentle, but St. Agnes of the Threshold may be her cruelest aspect. On the Open Reverend, there are many of us, you know, who have what you might call unhealed wounds, and many of us would not choose to heal them. Let's just actually take a look real quick. I assume we have a heart book, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, it looks like we, we had to use the Lake Vicina recordings for Father Schaller. I'm not sure if we found anything else since then. It would be fine to do this, I think. But let's just take a look. Can't recall if I found any others. There was an easier way to do this than just clicking through everyone. Go here and just highlight Mystery Heart. Yeah, I don't see any. Okay. That tells me I should probably have a bit more of a focus on cataloging some of our uncatalogued books. That's fine though. This, and it says I would understand what has happened to this OR so that I can understand what he might want to happen to him. In the Lake Vicino recordings. This is not a matter for me, I think. The power I serve is not gentle. He has lost his skin and he accepts the gifts of others' flames. But there is a crueler hour at work here. I will withdraw. Thank you, librarian. We can take the satisfaction overnight. Though I don't have a particular plan in mind for it. Perhaps the heart-haunted room. You know what, even though we are running a bit low on money, I'll just not hire help unless I absolutely feel like I need to take advantage of something, and I will go ahead and use the Wished to catalog. The pantry. This room is close to the roots of the house, and so it had a troubled reputation with the servantry, who late at night might hear the pulse of an unseen drum, the buzzing of flies, voices crying out in tongues unknown. And so the servants would trade favors not to be the one to fetch spices for his lordship's posset after dark. So basically in here we mostly have a bunch of different cooking supplies, a couple of other odds and ends, some packages to open. I'm gonna move these Gideon Soaks, Cinnabar, and this Essential Periost, basically like the stuff that isn't really ingredients. Phosphorescent scrapings as well. And the rose pearl. Some of this up here. These other things up here. Okay. And then in the next room along is the maze crazed room. There's 8 heart or 8 rose. Helped Peter Agdistus. And recording his card isn't a terribly pressing priority. But if I find a use for this scrap, then I'll probably go ahead and do that. Cataloged a tower falls. Another high threshold. And also written in back. Traveling at Night Volume 1. Same description as the other ones for the base part. The wood lies outside the walls of the Mansis. As any student of the histories knows, the Mansis has no walls. Philopoli describes how he came to make repeated visits to a dream wood via what he calls silver dreams. Trying to think your way to the wood, he explains, is like thinking your way to being in love. I did find a secret that helped. I have a memory impulse, 2 moth, 1 nectar, and edicts them. See him. Then. And I think my other cat is outside the office. For this day. Can go ahead and learn Edict's Liminal. Wait for another. There's Hail. 3 Edge, 3 Sky. Could go ahead and do the Locksmith's Dream. I don't think it particularly helps us with any rooms right now. A Libidic Tincture with Disciplines of the Hammer. Make sure that I recorded. I don't think I have Uranus down. I think it's one of the skills I was missing in my last playthrough. I'll refactor my notes at some point. Then we have fives, hands, a 5 sky recipe is a wistful air. And then some other sky stuff here. Do an awakened feather with sights and sensations. And then Sky Stories, I think we already checked that one as a Wistful Air as well. Okay. The Awakened Feather is somewhat tempting just to have one around for crafting purposes. But I'm not that excited by it because we're not that close, I feel, to the next level. Let me refresh myself on what these apprentice level challenges, scholar level, keeper level. Okay. The simpler techniques require skill alone. More advanced techniques require power as well as significant skill. And then keeper level challenges available only to the wise, the great, or the most fortunate of idiots. So yeah, like some of the scholar level recipes are maybe more useful, but I think even with like having access to an awakened feather, we're not that close to being crafting anything there yet, so I think I'd rather just expand my repertoire of skills for the time being. I think I will use this to read the Locksmith Stream. There's Whist here. And any sky. Yep. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. And then I did want to write an invitation for Wakefield. Let's craft this with an ink. Let's craft the Ugal ink first, though, since I want to make sure that I have access to some of the... I don't want to use an ink that I can't recraft, or that I don't know that I'm going to be able to recraft soon, you know? Any other inks sitting around anywhere? Okay. Bit. Yeah, so maybe I shouldn't have used my whist there. It's okay. It's not like an immediate necessity. Let's target a room and then we'll catalog and actually I wanted to start stockpiling some more water. Let's just do the gloomy room with Mrs. Kill. Another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms, Edicts Liminal. The precepts of limitation and division established by the enigmatic conclave of Hours, sometimes called the Chancel. I am going to use the core for some work. Just use this satisfaction here. And I'll catalog some books. We got quite a backlog of those to work through. Bring back the health and then use it to drop some more water. And grab some of these books. And move this somewhere. There for now. start making like a water shelf here. I'll generate a memory or two with Mrs. Kill just because always nice to carry something over. Got The Locksmith's Dream, Stolen Reflections. The fourth volume of Teresa Galmier's expansive work, no longer a discussion of the dreams of artisans, but a valuable survey of other works. The tone is calmer than that of Trespasses, but occasionally fearful, even paranoid. This volume was published in 1926, but almost immediately recalled and pulped by the publisher at the request of the author, or possibly the authorities, depending on which story you believe. A few copies survive. Janus is the gatekeeper, the twin god, the god that wounds, the presager of changes, the sun, the moon. So we identify him with the watchman, the twins, with the mother, with the forge, with the menascate, and the madrigad. He cannot be all these, can he? The Flamines knew the church, knew the dry land, knew Elagabalus. Is he then synthesis, or is he something else? In Galatea they called him Ianus Lamius, but the Obliviots are notorious for their slanders. Janus has, they say, not one face, but two. To which I reply, why only one? Why only two? Versalt and Cosley, according to Thomas Love Denman, once agreed that Janus was all the gods and none, but later Versalt described him as all the gods and Cosley favored none. Denman was a sinister dilettante, but this rings true of them both. This gives us a memory revelation. Some truths come to us from outside or above. And the Watchman's Paradox. Go here for now. Cataloged the Perugian diaries. Perugian. One's definitely doable. Sky. And here, bring back the Wisp. Memory Impulse. And another satisfaction. Back to her a bit more. keep this revelation. Actually, can we keep it? We cannot. Bit unfortunate. I mean, we can always regenerate it if we need to, but what I was thinking there was maybe actually getting Reverend Timothy to help with the Wind Proud Galley, because with a 2-lantern memory, we can get, he starts at 2, starts at 2, 3 with Whist, 5 with the memory, 6 with the tool. This doesn't belong here. I think maybe one of these coffees is good for 2, so that gets us to 8. Or we use, you know, one of the drinks that gives 1 plus a candle for the 8th. So that's worth considering. We can also just wait for the weather to give us 2 lantern. It'd be like a sunny day. Is winter useful? The silvered snares, not terribly. Not terribly interested in that. Let's get the gloomy room unlocked. The window of this room is coated thickly with black paint. A little light seeps through. Otherwise, the room is dark. Very faintly, I can still smell rotting meat. Okay. Forge Rose Moth Heart is our bed currently. Okay, we could read this one, Kathleen Ray, which would give us a redundant copy of Resurgences and Emergences, so not super interested in that right now, but it's an option. Right, I wanted to craft an ink. Let's do that. another leaf on the tree of wisdoms. Watchman's paradoxes. That amber preserves and is preserved by light. That to hatch is not to die. That the sun. There is a place behind the world called the Mansis. Deeds that would be impossible in the world are inevitable there. The watchman, who knows all the ways of the Mansis, also knows how to make these deeds possible in the waking world. 2 lantern, 1 sky skill of the illumination or Nyctodromy branches. So what are we taking overnight? Might be the regret, actually. That would let me craft another ink with using my whist. And I think I might actually go for the Windfrowd Gallery tomorrow. I know I said I was going to be a little careful with my money, but I do want to keep making progress up that way. And with that in mind, I may actually commit one of these languages to the tree. If I remember correctly, we had a FOST potentially available to us. So we'll take the regret. Using a FOST would mean that I guess we'd still probably want to generate a revelation. But I would not have to use one of the consumables, most likely. Okay, we've got another gale. That alter plans. It might just want to use that for the Perugian diaries. Though, with the 3 heart, it is tempting to just use that to get one of these rooms a little bit easier. I think we have access to them either way, if we're willing to use some food about it. I think I'm just going to use the Gale to read. And I'll continue with my plan of speaking with Reverend Timothy today. Or we use the Gale to open a room with Mrs. Kill. Bring in Wakefield to learn Lasimi. And then we have another language that we can look at committing potentially before making an actual decision of whether or not to commit. I forget if it was Crack Track or Fusine that would give us a FOST. Probably Crack Track in Illumination was what it was. Okay, what did... It was 3 winter for Zachary. Bring Zachary in. Okay, Mrs. Kill's at 3 with double core. Or 3 with core. 6 with Gale. 7 with dual. 8 with water. Sure. Okay, and then let's continue to build up a water stockpile and since I'm not using the whist today to bring in Reverend Timothy, let's go ahead and we'll craft an ink with that. Catalog a book with the Tryst. We have an offer from Oriflamme's. Colors in the liver. It's only 1, so I think I'll go ahead and purchase it. It is another Resurgences and Emergences, which I don't necessarily need, but that is, you know, if that's a skill that I'm not going to level, we can always find other uses for those lessons. Moth and Grail. Like, it might be nice to bring up the Edict's Liminal fairly high, since that can craft name day riddles. But that's a little ways off before I start making those decisions, I think. think don't have to bring Zachary in right away. And in fact, we'll need to wait until that auction finishes. Weather with Mrs. Kill. I'm gonna go ahead and point my camera at the sleeping cat on my desk. I'll give Mrs. Kill the kitchen bowls. And that's at 7 for her now. Done memory, soul tools, so we can just give her a drink. Get her to 8. And between the maze crazed room and the heart haunted room, I think there's just like some packages and some guest beds in there. Maybe more useful stuff in here potentially. Let's actually just go ahead and use her right away. The heart-haunted room. The light in this room dims in pulses of sunset red over and over in a half-heard heartbeat that matches the crashing of the waves below. It'll need careful exorcism from someone attuned to these influences. And I think I realized I didn't check out the examination room. Hendrik de Wolf evicted the family of the healer Natan from the Barber's Tower, as it was then called. I have rooted out the Barber's brood. He is recorded to have gloated. But his great-great-grandson Gideon, the motley baron, for his brindled hair, restored the tower and made it a place of healing again. Of course, the equipment in this room dates from the current century, but Gideon's other nickname was the Cutter. It was rumored that he bought corpses for dissection, even that he was a vivisectionist. The latter was probably a slander, but one way or another, scholars have been cutting up corpses in here for a very long time. We have a necropsy table, a hygienic place for scrupulous examination of whatever might remain. It takes remains, material, tool, carcass. We have some morgue boots, reliable rubber, seawater, a serpentine slab, phosphorescent scrapings, essential periost, a heart in a jar, an offering or an exhibit. Essential periost, whatever happens when you boil and scrape us down to our utter fundamentals. Phosphorescent scrapings, rendered inert but still luminous. A couple more books. Just gonna catalog this one with trust. And let's see. Let's bring Zachary in for a language lesson. We got the Queen of the Rivers, 4 scale, history, it's Path and Pilgrim. I'm not sure how doable that is for us. It's not too far off, actually. We have Crack health, makes 2. A tool is 3, so any 1 scale memory would do it. I don't think we have any on demand. But something like a fear, if we can get one, would let us read that book. And yeah, so I think kind of as a general strategy, what I'm trying to do with, you know, I'm kind of just reading stuff that I have access to, that I can read, but specifically trying to fill out, you know, skills that we don't have, trying to shore up, like, you know, making sure we at least have a primary aspected skill of every element is a good start. And then from there, you know, depending on how useful the ones that we have access to might seem for leveling up, we can start taking them higher. And then kind of as we get more skills filled out, I will look at starting to organize them in a way that makes sense for committing to the tree. Again, the way that I'm kind of trying to play here is languages, since you don't really gain anything by leveling them up. You're trying to be efficient about how you're committing stuff to the tree, you know, that it makes sense to commit them to the first ring. And there's not enough skills in the game to fully fill out the tree, so what I am probably going to do is I kind of like to play in a way, so with being the Symurgist and it recommending birdsong as the wisdom to pursue, I'll probably try to focus on filling birdsong out and build the rest of the tree kind of around that. Meaning, we can go up to like the best example just with the way that the connections work here, but I mean, once we get to the 5th tier of birdsong, jump down to the 4th tier of horror macistry, which means I might not want, I can not commit anything to 2 and 3 on horror macistry and save a couple of slots there. I forget the exact numbers and this is not like an optimal way to play, I would say. This is like if you want to commit every skill to the tree, which is certainly not necessary in any way to complete the game, or complete a run of the game, and doing it in that way is it's a bit tedious and methodical, but given that this is only my second-ish run, I've done like 1.5 before, and the one that I got the furthest in, I didn't actually finish, but I got pretty close, and I had like a plan for committing every skill to the tree. And one of the reasons that I did that and am thinking that I might do that in this playthrough is primarily one of knowledge. I have my notebook here, written down with, all of the skills and what I've determined that they're able to craft by personal experience. And I know you can obviously just look all of this up on a wiki, but I feel like part of the enjoyment for me in a game like this is some of the discovery of that and keeping my own notes and learning. It does tend to, I feel a little bit more immersed kind of playing like this, taking physical notes and doing it without looking up. I could just go look up like what does Rhyme and Remembrance craft, and I could make a plan for how to tackle the game based on that, or like knowledge that I haven't gained access to. And I think that's just maybe a little bit less fun for me to do it that way. Not that I would judge anyone for it. Especially because this game is can be so finicky with the workstations and what they'll accept in terms of both aspects and ingredients, and especially with crafting, because as you go up, as we read earlier with the scholar and keeper level challenges for some of the skills, they start to require very specific types of ingredients. So I would not fault anyone for, you know, looking up at a baseline, just like what does this skill potentially give me access to if I were to like level it up. Yeah, a little bit of a digression there, but I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on why I haven't committed anything yet and what my plans are. I think I am going to play this playthrough in a fairly methodical way. I might do, you know, I'm not going to wait until I have all 10 languages to start committing some to the first tier, because I would like to gain some velocity in terms of gaining more elements of the soul so we can do more things in a day. I will probably just start committing some of those very soon, and, you know, deal with getting the rest of them at some point. I would really like to find one that commits to the bird song so we can start moving up up that branch of the tree. Anyway, all that to say, I think, yeah, reading Queen of the Rivers priority because it gives us a skill we don't have, Path and Pilgrim, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it gives scale. Oh, it is Rose primary, scale secondary. And then same with like strings and songs, I would like to get that. A heart primary? No, heart secondary, sky primary. That can be an interesting one. Okay. Enough rambling on that though. Let's see where the rest of the day takes us. Unlocking a room, bringing in language lessons. We've got the colors in the liver. Another film. And again, this one gives us redundant lessons for resurgences and emergences, which I am thinking I don't particularly care about leveling anytime soon, at least. We'll see where it fits in the grand scheme of things at some point. It is something that can be used to cure infestations, potentially. That's somewhat attractive, although we did look at the one infestation that we had, and it was not, it was cured with aspects that resurgences and emergencies does not provide, which means the 7 needed to cleanse that type of infestation would need to come from something else. That's something that want to make a table or something for in my notes at some point is what skills are good for removing the corruptions and such from books. Okay. But yeah, like I said, Edict's Liminal is kind of tempting to bring up, and it has the Moth crossover with the Resurgences. So we're kind of past the 3-minute mark for the rest of the day, but I think that's fine. Let's see me tutoring. And we unlocked the stores. At the time of the Prayer Book Rebellion in 1549, Hendrik used this room as a prison cell for unfortunate locals, including the cunning man and rebel ringleader Red William, who had boasted of the curse he placed on Hendrik's heirs. There will be no seventh of his line. There is a story told in Brandkrug that Hendrik came to speak with the imprisoned William in person. There will be no second of your line, he told him, and had him gilded here in this very cell and cast into the darkness of the caves below the house. There is another story that Ava de Wolf once answered an importunate suitor by bringing him here to this room and pointing out a stain upon the stones. So quite a number of parcels and boxes to open in here. Got a second bottle of Shinshuk mead, drinking cocoa, some liquor, some paint pigments, a bolt of silk, some various fuels and such, some oil, some glue, some wire, all sorts of various sundry things. We have a cucurbit burette, a vessel with an ambiguous history, an edge tool, but we already had access to one of those in the knife. But there's the second one, should we need it? This is the knife will at some point most likely start getting used for lots of like cooking related tasks. Okay, I wanted to collect our mead somewhere. I'm gonna put it up here for now. We have our sacraments. Some Ruby Wise rune, of which I think we have 2 of those. Go ahead and serve this water. And we'll put the extra bottle of cannons right here. Move the drinking. Oh. Okay. So I think tomorrow we will plan on bringing the Reverend in and continuing up. The next room here is the blockaded stairs. Probably I'd had time to refresh like a health or something with water, but it's okay. Oh, my health was pulling water. I could have refreshed something else, but dusk. I'll just carry the regret over. And actually, let's see the weather. Okay, weather is a storm. We should try to make use of that in some way. I'm actually going to take a break here. I will return in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. With the storm weather, I might want to take advantage of it to get the blockaded stairs. I know I said I was going to bring in Reverend Timothy to go Windproud Gallery, but the weather kind of changes things a little bit for me. Mrs. Kill would be at 7 with Core and the Storm. 8 with Kitchen Bowls, 9 with a drink. Yeah, let's go Blockaded Stairs instead, actually. Continue to stock some water. And let's catalog some more books. Let's get that going. Bring back that core. I've learned enough to puzzle books in this language, though it might be slow going. Philoseme. If there is speech in nowhere, if there is a language used by the dead, in the House of the Moon, if the House of the Moon has a native tongue, then it must be Killisimi. If none of this is true, it is still not a language to be spoken in daylight. Each word breathes woe. Read it, as they say, and weep. 2 winter, 1 moon, Skolkosophy, and Bosk. So let's take a look. Arab or health, which is nice. Okay. Here I am. Actually, I think I'm going to start committing some of these languages. I don't think I'm going to commit it to preservation, but I'll read this anyway. Tongue of Earth. Crack-Track is the native tongue of the living world. As long as Crack-Track is spoken, in cloud shape and hill form, life persists. This is a matter of preservation. Or a tongue of sky. Crack-Track was a gift from the light above the world. When glory touched the first life motes with this language, they entered the waking world. They were illuminated. Go ahead and commit this so we get a Faust. Faust. Sight, perception, inspiration, all the glory's gifts. 2 lantern and 1 sky. So we now have a 2 lantern element soul. And I think we'll do we'll go for the Arab with the Killisimi. So one of the things that, if you're going for a playthrough where you're trying to read as much of the lore as possible, you might wait until you have more languages and have before committing one, because each one is going to give you two different, blurbs depending on which branch you're looking at in the tree. And if you commit it, then if there's one language that would have gone in that slot, you're kind of locking yourself out of being able to read that unless you level it up and use one of your open slots in the next tier. So that is one argument against committing. It really just kind of depends on what you're going for with your playthrough. And it is one of the things that makes the game kind of replayable in some ways, is if you do take a more aggressive approach at committing skills to the tree, subsequent playthroughs, you might give yourself different options depending on just what comes up and how soon you're making some of those decisions. So you may be reading stuff that you've not seen before, which is kind of interesting too. Anyway, I have no real qualms about committing them early, just to again gain access to additional elements, particularly ones that we don't have that might help us unlock other parts of the house or help us with crafting or reading books. So I'm going to commit this probably to Skolakosophy here, but let's go ahead and read the Bosk entry since it's available to us as an option. The Weaver's Tale. There's a prophecy among weavers of one who will unwisely seek to find the future in a tapestry of her own hair. Her house will grow dark, shrouded in the labyrinth of her tresses. Pilgrims will seek her in the cellar of her house, where she will plead with them to cut her free. They will always fail, and she will always devour them. At last one will come who will ask instead to stay with her. Others will join them until the house becomes a palace and the palace a city. Below the world where all are welcome, and in the tapestry all truths are revealed. Of the Carpenter's Tale. There is a prophecy among carpenters. A master of their kind will resolve unwisely that the coffins he shapes are too beautiful to sully with corpses. He will steal trinkets from the dead. He will ask the help of smiths and jewelers, and day and night he will labor to shape something worthy of his work. At last he will tire of his task and offer his breath to the shape in the casket. When it accepts, it will rise from the coffin and pronounce itself king. It will rule by fear, or fear will destroy it. In either case, its maker will have no coffin and no grave, and his name will be lost. Acquired an Arab. Pride, compassion, hatred, and fear. Now, another thing to be aware of with committing skills to the tree is you can combine duplicate copies of skills to upgrade them, but or evolve them. But in order to do that, so this Arab is now attuned, or this skill, Kilsimi, is attuned to my Arab, and it's committed to the Skolakosophy branch. That means if I want to use this skill to evolve an Arab when I, at some point, gain another one, I'll have to find a workbench that takes that can evolve via skolacosophy and also accepts either winter or moon, and either grail or edge for the Arabs to go into that workbench as well. So that can potentially be tricky because there may not be a workbench that matches that criteria. So it is possible to sort of soft lock yourself on evolving elements of the soul in that way, though I found that the evolving elements of the soul is not in any way necessary to making progress in the house. There's always generally going to be ways that you can kind of finagle. You'll have different, each room has different options on the elements that you can use to unlock them, as well as like just in terms of the many ways that you can exalt followers. You can also get followers that provide more than 2 of an aspect. You can get unusual help, which you'll have to pay a little bit more for, but they'll provide 4 of a number, or 4 of a number of different aspects. So, like, in terms of progressing through the house, not super necessary to have evolved elements by any means. And I think even like in terms of recording a history, it might be easier to do with evolved elements, but it may not be fully necessary depending on which elements are required and which history you're trying to record. And then and just a final point on the evolved elements, there are a number of memories that can potentially help with workbench requirements, meaning that the element itself can provide the ability to evolve, or the memory itself can provide the ability to evolve an element, and you can use it at potentially a number of different workbenches that may not require exactly the specific combination, but it is something to keep in mind. And I'm sure there are kind of maybe optimal choices to be making in terms of if you're trying to do that, which branch you commit a skill to. You might want to see if it overlaps with both, the elements that the skill is providing, or the aspects that the skill is providing, and potentially like the workbenches that you have access to, if they like, just as an example here, the barber's chair can evolve via preservation. So I might want to, if I'm trying to evolve elements of the soul specifically, I might be looking to commit skills to the preservation tree that overlap with the elements that the barber's chair accepts. So heart, grail, and moth, as well as committing skills which give from the preservation tree, again, those that have overlap with those elements. So like preservation can give health and core, So that's, you know, I might be looking to commit a preservation, like, for example, quenchings and quellings, which could be used in this workbench, versus something like resurgences and emergences, which, well, this is a bad example because resurgences can also go here since it has Moth and Grail. But that may not always be the case, depending on the workbench, depending on the skill, depending on the element. So there's a lot of like dependencies there, and you might find it is possible to find yourself in a position where you might want to upgrade an element or evolve an element for whatever reason, and the choices that you've made without necessarily like thinking about it might make it difficult to accomplish that, just based on, you know, there's not that many workbenches in the house that give you the option to evolve elements. Like, the dispensary doesn't do anything. The telescope, you can evolve via Horomachistry, but there might not, I can't remember off the top of my head, there might not be another workbench in the house that allows for that. So in that case, you might be looking to find a memory that makes that easier at some other workstation if the specific skills and elements that you're trying to evolve don't fit in one of those workbenches. Anyway, another kind of long digression there, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Well, let's look at Fusine. I think when we looked at this one earlier, yeah, this one's not giving us any new elements, so I might hold off on committing that one just for the... Also, with the Arab now, I think that means when we hire Mrs. Kill, if we hire Mrs. Kill and work with her Arab, or give her Arab collaboration, I think we're at a baseline of 4 Grail there now with just the element. So that's worth keeping in mind. I think that makes it fairly simple to get into something like the Overgrown Kitchen Garden now. I think, yeah, like 9 Grail should be pretty doable with just the stuff that we have access to now. But yeah, so we have Mrs. Kill's help today, and we're going to use the storm, I think, to get the stairs. So we'll give Collaborate Core. And let's start cataloging with some of these other elements. Figure out some of the rooms that we have just random uncatalogued books sitting in. Is that the only one? No, we have a rack of books up there too. We have What Does Not Bark or Moon. It gives Edicts Inviolable. That one I feel like has more useful crafting on the moon side of it. Do Catwink, Solomon's Prep, and Wormwood Dream. And that should be pretty easy to read at 4 moon. Catalog more. Use the whist. And let's go ahead and bring back whist. So I'm going to give her, generally when I'm doing a sort of a long chain of exalting assistants, I'll start with like element and tool, since those are not consuming anything really. The element is just, you know, being fatigued, and the tool can be reused, and then I'll move on to like consumable, and it's something like the storm, which is kind of one of the more uncommon weathers. I'll try to do that towards the end, just in case I messed up anywhere along the way. I'm not potentially wasting something that is a little bit more rare or difficult to get, because if I did mess up somehow, I can, you know, potentially salvage it by making use of that rarer material somewhere else. We cataloged the Locksmith's Dream portions and proportions, which gives lockworks and clockworks, which I find to be quite a useful skill to have. It has a nice chain of apprentice, scholar, keeper recipes on the Nox side that kind of go into each other, and those would be at apprentice level at the amethyst ampule, which can be used to make Gervinite at the scholar level, and that can feed into the keeper level challenge, which can be used to make Chronos cords, which is a nice knock tool. So I think I do want to prioritize learning that one, and I know that that skill is quite useful, so any excess like knock or sky memories that we happen to, or lessons that we happen to come across, I know I can dump those into lockworks and clockworks without that skill is so useful. I have no reservations about trying to figure out where to put excess memories. They can just go into that, and I know that that's going to be useful. So I want to prioritize reading that one for sure, and it's just 4 sky. So we can do that tomorrow. We've also got Against the Sisterhood of the Knot and the Foulness of Their Depraved Customs. 6 sky, that gives sky stories. So we already have sky stories, and I think I looked at that one earlier. Gives some useful stuff, but I'm nothing that I'm necessarily like dying to have right now. So that's an example of like if we read this book, Sky Stories has Sky and Rose, I would be comfortable putting that one into Lockworks and Clockworks. And let's go ahead and catalog another book using our Arab. Okay. So here I will give her a glass of water. Cataloged Musgrave sketches. 8 winter, and it gives sights and sensations, which sights and sensations is, again, that one does also have some useful stuff, but Sky is one of the more common aspects I find on lessons. Thinking about winter, and so yeah, so that's another one that I probably don't mind dumping into Lockworks and Clockworks. But yeah, let's think about winter. 3. 5 with like a memory. 7 with the whist, and then yeah, we should have the knife, which gives 1. So that's also pretty readable. Okay, and finally we'll talk with Mrs. Kill about the storm, bringing her up to 9. We're not yet at the 3-minute mark, so we'll cycle the health to pull up some more water. And we'll catalog another book. Interest. Making decent progress on that. We have these and these ones up here. And we're doing okay on keeping our money up shouldn't have any more problems with that through the remainder of the season, I would think. I think we could probably afford to hire someone every day. Let's keep the memory of regret overnight. We can use it to read Musgrave sketches. And yeah, we'll unlock the blockaded stairs here. Someone has filled these stairs with blocks of timber and broken furniture. They've filled the timber and furniture with signs to bring shadow and despair. Did they want to prevent an intruder from passing or a resident from leaving? Either way, it'll be difficult and careful work to open the stairs. Oh, and one other thing I just remembered. So we have a hint here about the relationship between Hendrik and Gideon. Have we come across Gideon's bust yet? No, we have Walter Musgrave. Yeah, just Walter and Musgrave, I think. Okay. But Musgrave's sketches gives us a hint, or just gives it to us straight. Musgrave, 4th Baron Brandkrug, was widely mocked as the Bleeding Baron and the Lambda Wolf, but these sketches reveal a complex, somber inner life. So, 4th Baron Brandkrug, a niche with a plaque, who was mocked more than he merited. We have a true history of Valentine de Wolf, written in the third person by Valentine de Wolf, fairly coherent, though it includes some useful footnotes on falconry and on exotic veterinary medicine. This gives furs and feathers, which is one we don't have, and it's a 6 sky. How doable is 6 sky for us? We have 2, 3, 4 from tools, so we just need 2 from a memory. Okay, so that's pretty doable. Okay, I think I am getting close to tired enough to where I feel like I can wind down for bed finally. But I think I do want to maybe play through one more day here, since I think I have pretty clear plans on what I want to do. I want to read The Locksmith's Dream and probably Musgrave sketches as well. I'm again feeling like I'm doing okay on money right now, so let's catalog another book with our core. And let's start from up here. We have the back stairs. The secret artery of the house, all those abbots and barons and all their crowds of retainers needed their chamber pots emptying and their boots cleaning. These are the stairs that the boots and the chamber pots went up and down. They were notoriously cramped and treacherous. It was a rare year some poor scullion didn't crack an ankle. It was the Suppression Bureau, at very long last, who remodeled the stairs and put in electric lights. And people say the Suppression Bureau never did Hush House any good. Nothing too exciting in here, I don't think. We have some wall art, lepidoptery display, Grail-centric, a collection of lepidopteran insects with unusual characteristics. And we have a lepidoptery display, heart-centric. Yeah, so nothing particularly interesting there, though it does give us a couple access to potentially a couple other rooms. We have the infested wine cellar, and we have the rattling bridge. So this one is interesting. It requires an ink to unlock, and given that we can make Ugal ink kind of at will, let's go ahead and just unlock that. Oh, wait, does it? Oh, Ugal doesn't provide the necessary aspects, of course. Catwink wood. And I believe, yeah, we have Edicts Inviolable, which has, it can make Catwink, but it's on the secondary. Oh, we don't have that one yet. It was in one of the books we haven't read yet, but I think, yeah, it's in What Does Not Bark. Was there another one? Another skill? We have Inks of Containment, which can also do that. And that is one that we probably would level. How hard is it to get to 5 moon? We don't have a moon tool yet, but I think we're close to one. So let's just say we have a moon tool. Trist is 1, Inks is 1, tool is 2, or tool would be 3 total. And then 1 from memory, salt. I don't think there are any super easily obtainable, like two moon memories. There's like Confounding Parable, but I think that's mostly crafted. So I think realistically, Catwink is something of a limited resource right now. Wait, putrefactions and calcinations makes Catwink, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, why did I forget that? Okay, so actually, scratch that. Catwink is doable with a bit of effort and assuming that we have access to a tool. We just need a memory. So we just need to like generate a salt or yeah, or like a contradiction. But we don't have, we have salt on demand. So with that, all that to say, I think I don't have a problem giving up a Catwink here to go through the rattling bridge. Each time the wind makes its rounds, the whole bridge shakes. On its threshold, there's a serpentine knot mark in brown blood. The mark is fading, but it still trembles with the power of the spirit that waits in it. A great servant of the old house, perhaps the last of the fine takers themselves. I must pacify it with a suitable offering before I can pass. Two wounds, one heart. 8 heart. History. Written in Kilisimi, which doesn't help with that. So I feel that one is always off. Oh, I totally forgot to drop water. We have time though, because we're just hitting the 2-minute mark. Oh, let's do that. And that'll be about it for this day, I think. We could have potentially cycled something through the sweet bones as well, but it's fine. Okay, and like I said, with a pretty clear idea of what I'd like to do for the following day, I will go ahead and play through that, and then after we wrap there, I'll probably call it. I'll wait for the weather. Now we have another storm. Okay, I'll think about that in a second. Let's read the Vestibulum Transitus. Vestibulum Transitus was the wry name the Curia gave this structure. Before that, it was Valentine's Bridge, the sheltered crossing beyond which Baron Valentine's solitude was assured. Quite a few books in here. We have a year tally. A chitty worth an additional year of life, scrupulously obtained through carefully balanced thaumaturgic attention to the cindered tally of the madrigad. an urn of ashes, and a couple of vases of gorse. And then we have access to a shrouded space and a squawkful loggia. Is 9 sky doable? Let's see. Mr. Kill is 1. Cost is 2. Storm is 6. Cool. Astrolabe is 7. Veil Goddess Lapsang is 8. So we would be 1 short. But I think I know how we could get that. Yeah. Okay. I think... Where do you need to use my whist? To bring him in. Which is okay. We can just immediately recover it and still read that book. So, whist and Fost committed. I guess I would also need to bring back the Fost for reading the locksmith streams, and that's also okay since reading the books only takes 2 minutes. So. So yeah, I think we're gonna do that. I'm actually going to cook my first thing here. So if we boil an egg, it's a dish with heart, scale, sky, and winter. We only have the 1 egg right now, but you know, I mean, I don't really have other plans for it at the moment, so I'm fine using it up, and then it's a fairly easy resource to renew once we get into the overgrown kitchen garden, which again with Mrs. Kill should be fairly straightforward to do. So let's get the egg going and bring in Mr. Kill. And then the rest of our elements are free pretty much to do whatever. So I need to stockpile some water. Fucking we'll use that fast up right away. Cover the waste for reading purposes. I'm going to move some of the consumables out of here. I feel like we had more tea somewhere. Specifically more of the Veiled Goddess, but perhaps not. We have another packet that we can brew up. And I think I'll use my cord to do that. Just so we have a portable one on hand. Okay. Tool. Let's use that since we'll need it for reading. There's our egg. There's our whist back. Store the fast. And with our whist back, I think we can just start reading Musgrave sketches. Give him Key is 4. Egg is 5. Okay. And then as soon as that Fost is back, we can read Locksmith's Dream. Let's cycle the health. Can offer my assistant something to eat. This will increase their aspects. It's also just friendly. And then the boiled egg is a neatly packaged nutrition, pale as December dawn. So one scale, one sky, one winter, one heart. It can be used as an ingredient and is a first course for the purposes of salons. There's our Fost back. Let's cycle Core through the Sweet Bones. And with the Fost, let's go ahead and read Locksmith's Dream. Lantern. Paradox. Oh, I think we need sky for this. There we go. Okay, and finally exalt with a talk about the weather. It's him to 9 sky, which gets us into the Swakful Logia. It would also get us the Windproud Gallery, but given that I used a consumable that we don't have readily available again, I'm just going to do the room that has the highest requirement that we can achieve with the items that we've consumed. As again, this is doable in other ways. We just haven't been prioritizing it. I'll go ahead and get a memory out of him. Try to get something that we can keep overnight or tomorrow. So while those books are cooking, we can catalog some more stuff. I don't think we're going to need those elements for anything specific, and cataloging, always good to knock out some of those when we can. There is the health back. And a decent stockpile of water going, so bring back the core as well and probably just read another book with it, or catalog another book. Alright, here is Musgrave's sketches. Musgrave, 4th Baron Rankrug, was widely mocked as the Bleeding Baron and the Lambda Wolf, but these sketches reveal a complex, somber inner life. Art begins in colors, grows dappled, finally is either mostly darkness or mostly light. Musgrave discusses the temptation of the perfectly minimal, palest painting. He has so far managed to resist this temptation, but does guiltily describe success in using sights and sensations with winter aspect to create first a chilly elixir from flowers, which he believes he can refine further into a final pigment. I wonder if... Okay, so this is a little interesting. Sights and sensations. I don't think I have the keeper level. I don't think I have the keeper level recipe recorded for this one. So the scholar level one that it's talking about is Solomon's preparation. A final pigment. I'm curious what that is. I have a thought about what it might be. Like maybe milling count. That's got to be what it is. Because yeah, that requires Solomon's preparation, so that it's. So inks of containment can also do that. So again, the winter crafting side of that skill, useful, but we have it covered in other ways, potentially. So we have multiple paths there. And I don't recall what the... Okay, so the sky side of that, I don't know what that builds to at the keeper level. So yeah, with the bittersweet certainty is nice to have, I think. So I'm tempted to like not use this to level, just put another level into sights and sensations. I'm tempted to, I would be more tempted to either put it into something like, I'm not even tempted to really put it into inks of containment necessarily, though I do want to level that at some point. It is a little tempting to maybe do sights and sensations just to, that would give us a higher level sky skill, but oh, that actually gave us 2 lessons, which is kind of nice. Oh, I should okay, so that's our core return. I'm not gonna cycle that through just yet. I'm going to bring back the whist here because my plan is to use one of these lessons before the end of the day. But like I said before, I think I find Lockworks and Clockworks to just be so useful for getting through certain parts of the house that I'm tempted to level that one up early. Or to focus it, anyway. We need a shelf for this. Maybe one of these small ones. Oh, shoot. What was it? Was it sky? I don't think it was sky, but... two under one lantern. Okay. There's a memory of regret, so we can carry that over, and that's fine. We can use it for crafting if nothing else. So I'll go ahead and just use Mr. Kill now to unlock the Squawkful Lokia. Birds crowd every corner of this place, glaring at me with malevolent yellow eyes. Guano kicks the walls and feathers drift the floor. Something has drawn them here. It'll need to be dealt with. Once it has, the place will take an awful lot of cleaning. The Encircling Tantra, a 6 scale, which gives horns and ivories, and we have Key of Night, 6 scale, which gives pentiments and precursors. The 6 scale stuff, I think we're a little ways off from. Those there for now. Okay, we're almost to the 2-minute warning. We got 30 seconds left on that. It's gonna be close on whether we can actually use, make use of the lesson plus the bittersweet. Gonna be quite close. We might... I'll do it nonetheless because even if it's going to take us into the next day with an exhausted element, that element, you know, would have theoretically been used anyway to maybe generate a memory. Anyway, The Locksmith's Dream. Portions and Proportions, the second volume of Teresa Galmier's examination of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. The frontispiece has been slashed with a razor. In this volume, Galmier records fewer dreams and explicates more of her own elaborate theories. We see this again and again. What is below cannot escape what is above. The finest artisans all dream of the white door in the end. The finest artisans all dream of the white door in the end. I am no artisan, only a scholar. I think there's a secret that all these artisans know, but I think that secret is only half the story. That gives us a confounding parable. The moth, the grail, and the egg unhatching all tell different stories of the world's beginning. One of those stories is the oldest, but it may not be the first. Abbas Nona. Oh, so this is that... Yeah, I couldn't remember. I don't know why I thought that that was like something that had to be crafted. But yeah, so cool. This is a pretty useful memory. It's 2 moon, 2 rose, 2 sky. So I'll probably be rereading that book often. And we've learned, or we've gained a lesson for lockworks and clockworks. We'll learn that right away. Use this lesson to acquire a new skill. And actually we'll be fine on spending, I don't think there was any world where we use up both lessons, since we would need a 3rd memory that overlapped. But we'll be able to make use of 1, I think. Or wait. Bittersweet certainty doesn't do it. We're looking at knock and sky. But the confounding parable does, so that's good. Okay, cool. Is there... And I think, can we keep the bittersweet certainty overnight? No. Okay. That's fine. So that one will go to waste, but... Oh. No. Wait, okay. We can still do this. I just realized I need a knock or sky skill to level the lockworks. So we'll refresh our fast. So this will be close, and we might again go into the following day with an element exhausted, but that's okay. So we have Whist and Core free to work with. And we have a Core being refreshed, so I think these are all just going to go into cataloging, maybe? Think about it. The other option is to use it to craft like some more Yugal ink or something. I think that only takes 60 seconds. Let's do that. Just have more than one Yugal ink on hand. Usually like to stuff like that. I tend to use fairly frequently, especially once we start getting to do salons. Before we have access to something like the typewriter. Just having a bunch of inks on hand to send out invites and such. I don't mind having. But we'll use the Core catalog, keep going from there. And yeah, we've got the Gull's Cry Logia. When Baron Valentine's melancholia and his accusis became too much to bear, he began to take his meals here, with none of the sounds that he found troubling. Only the wind, the sea, and the cries of his beloved birds. After the dwarfs were gone, the librarians of the Curia would come here when they needed to think in peace. Had a snug chair, a wicker chair with a soft white lap blanket for chilly evenings. And we've got the Logia Prospect. The workbench that only takes a moon and rose for the soul, skill, and memory. And then for the additional slots, it can take any element, something that's blank, something cooperative, and then the other slot is a memory or a pigment, and it can evolve via hushery. We have some Azamel, which is an ink that I'll take. Shadowless Silk, a variant of the Persian silk tree, golden as the Shadowless Kings. And some reuses of the Armagnac. We can host a picnic here as well. Somber conversations where once poor Valentine sat alone. I think that's it for that room. I thought that you could go either up or down, but I guess you have to go through the shrouded space to get to that next room over there. And then as far as the Weeping Chamber, most likely targeting heart there might be easiest. We'll see. But yeah, I think I said pretty early in this session that I wanted to get the Windproud Gallery unlocked, and I've done anything but. We did have a couple of like storms that I wanted to take advantage of, and we had the opportunity to read some books as well that that made sense to me, and then we also committed a couple of our language skills, so overall some good progress today. Let's go ahead and finish up what I'm working on here. We've got, I'll read the description for the Azamel real quick. A silver ink that can only be made and used in dreams, an ink of revelation. Don't want to get too distracted because the end of the day is going to be fairly close on whether or not we can make it through without exhausting an element into the following day. And there's another other core, which I'll probably use to just catalog, and kind of neatly the last book in this room. As far as uncatalogued books, I think we just have what remains in here in the reading room, and then the new ones that we saw over here in the vestibulum. Okay, another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms. Blockworks and clockworks. The little ways of little machines. 2 knock, 1 sky, and can be committed to ithistry or skolokosophy. So we're waiting on the Foss to come back. which is 30 seconds off. Okay, and it just turned dusk, so it looks like if we time it just right, we'll be okay on getting all of our elements refreshed going into the following day. With the Fire Circle Tantra, it's an 8 moth mystery that gives solutions and separations. Over here for now. For the next session, I think I do want to try to get some of these middle rooms that have a bunch of bookshelves in them, so we can do a little bit better organizing books, especially as we start to catalog more and more. An almanac of entrances, a 10 knock that gives edicts liminal. Because obviously there's just not enough room over here. Right, there is our Frostback, and crafted some Ugol ink. So we're going to level Lockworks and Clockworks using our Faust, one of the lessons, and the Confounding Parable. And before I forget, let's go ahead and carry over the only memory we can, which is the Memory Regret. We'll find a use for that. Yeah, I think pretty good progress for this session, especially given I started it at like close to 1 a.m. my time. And it is now almost 4. Okay. I will fix my sleep schedule soon. And I will think part of that is hopefully I come up with a streaming schedule that I can try to be a little bit more consistent about. It will most likely be, during the day, Pacific time, probably somewhere between like noon and 2 is like, or I don't know, maybe earlier. I gotta think about it. As for this session, I think I'm gonna be done. And for the next stream, I will try to stream, I guess technically later today now. It may be a little later than noon Pacific, but I will try to get on sometime in the afternoon and stream for a little bit, and it'll most likely be more of this playthrough. Not quite. I'm enjoying this, going through this, and not feeling like I want to switch off to another game for variety's sake alone just yet. But sometime in the future, I will start mixing in some other streams. And especially if I'm feeling like today, I was feeling a little bit unfocused earlier in the day, and that was keeping me from wanting to go live, particularly with this game, which I feel like requires some amount of mental acuity on my part. In the future, I think if I'm feeling like that and it's a day that I am wanting to commit to, or that I've committed to keeping a schedule for streaming wise, I'll probably just play something a little bit more more chill and less thinky, something like Final Fantasy 14 or I don't know, just random like action games maybe, or something where I'm not necessarily doing a whole bunch of like reading and puzzling and thinking about lore kind of stuff. Not that I've been doing a great job with lore connections in this playthrough. I've mostly just been reading text. But I hope to... I hope that some of that starts clicking in for me soon at some point. I'm still... I would consider myself still very much a novice of the Secret History setting. So I'm a little reluctant to like start throwing theories and connections out there, but maybe I should just let YouTube comments or chat correct me on that if I get stuff wrong. Anyway, I think that's enough rambling. I'm clearly a little bit going a little bit scatterbrained here, but if you're watching this back later, thanks for watching, and have a good day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thanks.